Let's
I'm
not
sorry.
throwing
There was a
flowers
shot
at
with
it.
the predator holding the bear above its head as the
The
blood
CGI bear,
pours down
the terrible
and
CGI bear, which the
do not give me terrible CGI. I just
dude.
watched RRR, and
Oh, now we're
that bear
comparing
was
to our
fine.
might as well compare Fast and Furious then. But that's not the point.
It probably has the
You
same
love
budget.
The
Fast and
point
Furious.
is,
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and I'm here with my lovely crew, James and Brooksy, and we're here to talk about Prey, the 2022 action release on Hulu. How you doing, you two?
Old.
How's your week
We're
been?
old. That's how we're doing.
We're
old
old.
and get hot pretty easily. My temperature barometer just doesn't care anymore. If it's 85 degrees, I'm hot.
Hot flashes?
Yeah, back. Ooh, shit, hot flashes. Check
Do
my
guys get
testosterone
that?
level. I don't know. I think differently. My, what's the dude? There's a commercial
Well,
about the
that's
testosterone, and your women will love it too. What's that? Nugenics? What's that guy?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I think so, but it has not. I don't think they say anything about hot flashes. That would be news to me.
I'll look it up while you go through the intro. I'm kidding.
Okay. Well, that's the whole intro. That's the whole intro right there. So we're going to be talking about Prey, like I said today, which is the new. I got my notes here. Hold on. So I put my notes on my phone, so don't mind me looking down.
New movie from
So this
Hulu.
is the seventh. This is the seventh film in the Predator franchise, believe it or not. Starting back in '87 with the original Predator, and this was originally a Fox property, and then when Fox and Disney went through their merger, buyout, whatever you want to call it. So apparently, from what I've read, the reason this thing didn't hit the theater is because Fox had a previous deal with HBO that anything went through the theater, they would get to HBO afterwards. So Disney went straight to Hulu with it because they didn't want HBO to get the rights on streaming.
Shady.
So I think they,
Scandalous.
especially after what we've seen with the huge, gigantic breakout of Top Gun 2, that might have been a slight financial mistake on Disney's part. I think they would have made a lot more pulling this into the theater.
Well,
But
tell that to
everything's a toss
Discovery and
up.
HBO Max and Batgirl. Go figure on that.
Exactly.
I know. Is
Yeah.
it HBO
We'll have
Max
to have a
is like
discussion.
letting go of like 70%? Isn't it HBO Max? Am I making this up? Someone
Yeah.
is like letting go of like 70% of their workforce, and I'm so confused by all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of the Discovery. Well, technically, HBO bought out Discovery.
No,
I
Discovery
think.
bought out HBO.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, but Discovery CEO is taking over. They're basically, and when that happens, same thing happened when Disney and Fox did their thing.
Don't
They
I know
slashed
that?
the workforce.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Time to start editing some
And
stuff. Bad.
and new strategies are coming out, and they're deciding what to keep, what to toss, what to keep going. As we saw, I know if you guys remember way back when it was sort of Top Gun. Was Top Gun going through this? It was just recycling over, not quite getting out,
Yes.
not
Yes.
releasing.
It was
They
actually
didn't
supposed to
want
be
go
released right before COVID. And then,
right?
yeah.
And then New Mutants. New Mutants was also in that hell recycling. Nobody wanted
That
to
was
release
part of
it.
Fox.
It was in
you
the
know.
middle of the buyout. Hmm. But that eventually got released, but did not quite have the legs of this Prey movie. So, all the business stuff aside, that's really what's going down. Prey is on Hulu for you to watch worldwide on Disney Plus or on Disney Plus linked services in other countries. I think Star something in South America
Star
or
Plus.
something to that effect.
Mm.
Star Plus. And I just read that in the first 3 days of release, it is the biggest release ever of any movie or television series on Hulu and Star Plus and those
That's
series.
huge.
So this thing just like came out of the gate. I don't think any of us was really looking at this. We thought maybe it had a kind of a neat trailer, but I don't think any of us.
It was
were,
a
like, looking
bored Saturday.
forward to-
Came from the gym, made myself a burger, had a drink, and I'm like, oh, podcast has Prey on. Let's take a look. Get it out the way now.
What about you, Brooksy? What made you watch it?
The podcast. But
Her and I
Um,
agree.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I know. I will say, I don't even know if I should say, internally we did try to push this and it didn't feel
Edit
like,
time.
I know, it didn't feel like it was going to be like this. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't, like I feel like we like, what we're like having all of these viewings and all this stuff and like kind of all this hype, but it didn't feel like it was like taking. So I'm like very surprised. I don't think that Hulu is like lying at all. But I'm very surprised that it is the #1 all-time release.
All right, this is a pretty simple story. So we start in 1719, Northern Plains. So this was shot in Alberta, but it's in basically the same mountain range as America. This is set in North America. So we have
Mike's
Naru,
backyard.
a young.
It's in Mike's backyard.
That's right. Naru is a young Comanche woman looking to prove herself as a hunter and win the respect of those around her, and happens into the path of an alien hunter challenging the most dangerous predators it can find. So,
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
what's really interesting about this movie to me was just the first 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes is like this little character setup about Naru. We meet her brother, you get their relationship, you get to learn about what she's trying to do with her life, where she is. You meet her mom, you know, her every day. You see some of her tribe and how she interacts and how they interact with her. You meet her dog, awesome dog.
Yeah, dog's my favorite
And
character. Go ahead. My second favorite character, I should say.
And it's just this interesting, quiet, relatively quiet character piece as we prepare to walk into this horror movie, basically, to follow it up. So what did you guys think of how this opened? And, you know, so different than a lot of the other, you know, this type of action movie where you're like, these are the baddest dudes on the planet and they're gonna have to fight. You know, that kind of normal setup. What did you guys think of this? I'm gonna let Brooksy, you go first.
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest. I don't know why. I felt like I went into the movie like wanting to not like it for some reason. I don't know why.
Sounds about white.
Haha. Mostly I didn't even know what the
Nice.
that was pretty good. I didn't know what, like, I didn't watch the preview. I didn't read, like, the synopsis.
Have you ever seen another Predator movie?
So I think I have, and I didn't like it. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm not going to like this one. And I couldn't, like, tell you why I didn't like it at the time. So I just sort of went into the movie, like, not wanting to not like it, and then was, like, almost confused by what I was watching. Because I'm like, this does not seem like a Predator movie to me at all. So, I don't
It's
know.
like the
but-
low-tech gear or something? Or
No, like
I think just the quiet character moments,
Yes.
right? Like her
Yeah.
talking with her brother and
yeah,
talking
like
with her mom.
exactly. I was just
No
like, am I
one's in
even
danger.
watching the right movie? Like, what is happening here? Like, I was just maybe maybe next time I just need to read this or to like watch the preview, read the synopsis, like I said. But I was just like sort of confused for some reason. I'm like, am I? What's happening? Like, what's going on? And then in my head, I just assumed that the predator was gonna come and like kill the entire population, and then I was like getting annoyed, like waiting for that to happen. I had like a lot of emotions in the beginning, and none of them were really good for whatever reason. Mostly it was all about what I thought I was gonna watch, not what I was actually watching. And then at the end of the movie, I realized that I liked the movie, but it took me to the end of the movie to realize that.
Right. So, question: that first shot when she's out in the wilderness and she looks up in the clouds, and above the clouds you see the ship, but you don't see the ship. You just see like the tail fire,
Yeah.
and she thinks it's a Thunderbird, and she's like, "This is a sign." What did you think? Like, what hit you there? Because for me, as a person who's seen Predator, kind of knew basic what it is, I went, "Oh, that's cool. They're not showing it, but I'm ready." Like,
Yeah.
what did you think? Not really in the sense of what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just assumed that it was gonna like come down and destroy this population, and then I was like gonna be annoyed, because like a population of Native Americans were being destroyed, and that was like my kind of thought and build up and like what my anticipation was.
You were like, "What in the colonialism is this shit?"
Pretty much.
The Predators have never won in all 7 movies. They've never come out
I
as
did not
victor.
know that.
Yeah.
That would be
All right,
cool.
James.
So I had the first 30 minutes. I had shades of Mulan playing in my head when I watched this, because I mean, listen, I don't want to get canceled. I'm just saying that it seemed like it was a very competent, skilled female warrior in a tribe full of like manly men, and you should be in the kitchen and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, this reminds me of Mulan a little bit, but without her having to pretend that she's a dude, to be able to be accepted by her tribe.
It's almost like a lot of cultures were like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a humanity thing, not a cultural thing. So then later on, it went from that to, I remember the other Predator movie with Adrian Brody. There was a female in their crew as well. Oh man, I'm mixing the movies up. But anyway, it went from Mulan to me to more like, okay, now they're going to replay almost act for act the original Predator movie. And she's going to learn the fact that it can't sense if it's in cold climate. And she's going to learn how to use its own weapons against them, while the rest of the tribe are getting killed. Then they threw a little bit of Last of the Mohicans in there with the French fur traders who popped up. Apparently, they were using some of the Native Americans as bait for the Predator. They knew of the Predator, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it. But in reality, it's not fucked up. It makes perfect sense in real world history, as if that would happen. So I was all over the place in the middle act. I loved the first act, all over the place in the middle act, and loved the third act. The sort of story, your big question to me is what I think about the story. It reminded me a lot of Mulan, a little bit of Last of the Mohicans. It dipped a little bit too much in the middle, like the middle part of the movie, but I thoroughly enjoyed the third act. I mean, the fight, and I know you're going to get into it, the kills. Kills on both sides. Kills on the human side and kills of animals. There were animals fighting other animals. That was pretty awesome. That dog was awesome. And then obviously the final battle with Predator and Naru. Is her name Naru?
Yeah, Naru.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
All right. So I guess I'm all alone here. Because I absolutely adored the beginning of this movie. I adored it. Because, look, I had never seen the Predators, which is the Adrian Brody one, where they're all dumped on the planet. So I actually took time at the end of my day today, when I wasn't supposed to, and I turned it on my phone while I was doing other
Edit
work.
time.
Because I wanted to catch a glimpse of what that was about. Because I heard a lot of Oh, this is a gem. People should remember this. This is actually really better than I thought. So, having seen most of the others, the original Predator 2, and then the last one with Peel, you were saying the Predator, and those are all pretty much. I don't want to say they're identical, but they're identical in the sense that you take a group of the baddest dudes or people that you know, and you drop a predator on them, and then they die anyway until somebody figures out that shit, I can't just shoot this thing with a gun. Like, it just takes it that's what happens. But this is so different because this wasn't about a hunting party searching for the predator. This was about a person living their life in their time, trying to prove themselves. Now, there's a cool parallel, and another thing I loved about this movie, the parallels between Naru and the Predator, and their stories kind of going parallel to each other until they end up crossing paths. In her trying to prove herself, because she's not a great hunter, she gets distracted, she waits too long, she's not quite as good as her brother, but she's good enough to participate, but nobody believes in her because that's not what she's supposed to be doing. So there's this great story about this girl in her time period trying to overcome all of these things that are put up against her, but you do see that she lives in a culture that this is valued. She has talents that line up, that are valued, and that will help her. So she's actually better set in the beginning as a person, just the way she lives, as a better antagonist to the Predator than anybody else. Because everybody else, they all rely on guns and knives. Like, they expect their weaponry to do the work. Where she understands, and even compared to her own hunting party, she understands there's tactics and other things to do besides just go headlong into the fight. So I love the character, and I love the quiet time getting to know the character, and that's why it's a completely different than all of the other ones, which, yes, you have a main character, but you have this holy group of badasses that you're like going to fight this thing. Whereas this is a one person, one character story. And I really love that about it. It really set it apart.
I get that. That kind of makes sense. I think I also, that's why I was like, kind of some of the stuff you said is why I was like a little bit hesitant watching the beginning, because I felt like this was going to be some kind of a typical, like I said, like
action movie, right?
Like an action movie, or yeah, just setting up for like, you know, the female to like get suppressed, or you know, and like something bad, and then you know, like all like the typical things that usually happen. Like I just was like waiting for that to happen.
Well, you gotta. I've almost think of this as following more of the movie, like the horror movie trope of the final girl, where you, before the monster shows up, you get this girl just living in her life, usually some white suburban girl, whatever, going to school, and then this stuff is happening in the background until she gets pulled into it, right? That's more of a horror movie, standard horror movie trope. And this kind of follows that a little bit closer than it does the standard action movie trope, which is the biggest tough guys are on a mission and then they run into something.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with that.
All right, so I talked about parallels, and I think this is what elevates it as a movie beyond just, hey, this is a cool Predator movie, this is a cool action movie, this is a cool horror movie. Is I thought story-wise, it did a lot to, number one, the Predator. So the Predator seemed to me to be challenging itself more than other Predators in other movies.
I strongly disagree here. Go ahead.
Because, think of it, it comes down into this mostly empty area. And it starts with a snake. You see, I love that little scene where you see the ant, and then you see the mice eat the ant, and then you see the snake eat the mouse, and then the predator kills the snake, and then next thing the predator moves up to the wolf, sees the wolf going after the rabbit. It fights the wolf hand to hand. It doesn't shoot it from a distance and take its skull. It goes up and faces it face to face. And then it goes to the bear, and it does the same thing. He doesn't shoot his arrow at the bear and kill it and think it's got to win. It literally is challenging itself hand to hand against one step up, 1, 2, 3, 4, against these things. And it only starts using distance weapons when it is being attacked by distance weapons. This predator is not like the one who shows up in the jungle and starts shooting lasers
That's
at people from a distance and picking people off. And then predators, when it drops people in a jungle and
Also
it had already
agree.
killed
There's
the
2
same
movies
thing.
of it.
And then you got Super Predator and all that shit in the weird, the last one with the Predator. So it's like this one seems less just looking for a kill and more looking for a challenge. And that's how I felt when I was watching it. And Naru as the girl is challenging herself, trying to work up to this place, and get the respect of everybody because she beats the cougar, which she doesn't at first. Because she fights the bear, loses that one too. Because she fights the Frenchman, loses that one too. You know, it's like, but that's kind of the point. She is prey as she's working her way up. The predator is a predator as it works its way up until they cross paths.
Like a video game.
Switch. Okay.
So I disagree with your point immediately off the bat with the Alien versus Predator movie. Go back and watch that movie. That movie is the best showcase of the actual predator species and how it evolved from its major weapons to using counter weapons against the alien. And the predator is actually the protagonist in that, and the alien xenomorph is the antagonist. So you get a different flavor on the species of predators, and then you get to see them. You obviously know that they're a tribe. This is like a junior guy in his tribe. He's trying to rank up, and you see the way that he goes through his weapon and cachet, and the way he adapts to both the humans and xenomorphs. I think if you're going to tell me that what the crux of what really attracted you was you're seeing this predator and this movie evolve, I'm going to say no, because we've seen that before and done better in a previous movie. What I will give you, though, that I did like is the fact that the predator in this movie was very consistent with how he was able to dispatch folks. He didn't all of a sudden have a MacGuffin out of nowhere as we had in some of the mini movies. He was able, MacGuffin, Brooks. He was still using the same weapons you saw in the beginning all the way through the end to his death, unfortunately. And I like that consistency. Like, he didn't have a Deus Ex Machina weapon with that we didn't know about that could explode the entire planet that we saw in a couple other Predators. He was very consistent. He was more practical. It was like the Terminalist, practical choreography, but an alien doing it. I do like that part, but I've seen better evolved Predators. So.
Brooks, what did you think of just how the girl moved through her advancement in figuring out her weapons, figuring out her tracking, and then the same thing with the Predator. Do you feel what I'm saying about that parallel in the storytelling, or am I coming up with things out of thin air?
I don't think you're coming up with things out of thin air. But like I see that from the girl's side, right, or from Naru's side,
Naru.
Or the girl Naru's side. I feel like that was like a I want to say like a coming of age almost, but just like a very short one,
Right.
or quick one where she really knows what she's doing. She just has to believe in herself. And
yeah.
especially when everyone else is telling her, like, you don't know what you're doing, little girl.
Except for her brother, who gives her that little speech at the end.
The
Yeah, but
best
that was at
character.
the very end. In the beginning, he took
Right.
her thunder. Like, I killed the lion. Like, nah, bro, you didn't, actually.
I have some stuff to say about the brother when it comes around, but yeah, I agree.
Okay. So yeah, I think for her it was like that was like very much of a coming of age, like I said, like, you know, she just needed to believe in herself and like you know, her talent, and like you see her picking things up along the way, right? Like the whatever that flower was that she was feeding people, it was like, oh, they make them cold and then the heat pick up on them. So I'm
I
gonna
like
do
that though.
myself,
I like
right?
that.
Like that part was really cool to me. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't watching The Predator as much. I'm not sure that I saw that in The Predator, like that evolution necessarily.
For me, it was
Agreed,
less
Brooks. Agreed.
It wasn't as much like you're seeing it as a character evolution, but his kill is specifically evolving up the food chain. His kills don't start at the strongest and hit whatever is around him. It's going up the food chain. It's a specific order that we see his kills happen. Because you can't tell me that he happens upon the snake first. Yeah, it just happens that way. No,
I kind of get that actually. Oddly, now that you've mentioned the snake first, like I kind of.
Yeah, but you forget there was already a skinned Native American in the beginning of the movie too. He already killed a human.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
The cougar did. That was my next point.
Right. You're right. My bad. You're right. That was the cougar. That wasn't the
One of the great tension points, what I really also liked about this movie, is that there are multiple times when you're assuming the predator is doing something, but he's not actually doing it. So, number one, the cougar attack. I assumed that that party was going to go out, and they were going to think oh no, a cougar took our guy, and really it was actually the predator. And oh my god, they're going to die. No, it was a cougar, right? And then that scene when they're looking for her in the woods, I forget why they were out in the woods. She wasn't with them, and then they heard something behind them. I was like, oh, predator's gonna kill it. Nope, wasn't the predator. Then she finds the buffalo. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is the predator doing killing this many buffalo? Nope, wasn't the predator. It was the French. It was this cool.
Oh, was that the French? I didn't.
that skinned a bison. It was the French.
They're fur trappers, so they're just killing to kill to take their fur. So rather than the predator, which is killing for sport, but for prize for a specific purpose, the fur trappers are just wasting herds of animals for their skins.
Okay, I didn't pick up on that.
Right, but I went through the whole thing going, okay, that's a predator kill. Nope, that's not a predator kill. That's a predator.
Yeah.
Like, it kept doing that to me until finally we get there. But I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Like, and I think that showed, like, in a way, like, her evolution, too, because she was fighting, like, not smaller, but, you know, she was just fighting smaller animals, like the cougar, and then there was the bear scene. That was, like, a huge animal, till finally
she went after the deer between there, where she was chasing a deer and couldn't catch it. And then she was, exactly. The hawk at the beginning, she didn't get the kill. So she went through that evolution of,
No, but her character went through a true evolution, because not only that, when she was caught in that quicksand, she learned how to use her weapon in a way that later on she can actually use it against a predator. She learned how to twist the rope with the axe and be able to push her way to safety. I mean, you want to say the predator leveled up between killing a snake and a bison, and then the Frenchman, and then the Native American tribes.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. But to me, a true evolution was Naru's character.
Yeah.
From where she started at the beginning to where she was hand-to-hand, singularly taking down the predator. That is a real evolution.
You agree with me. So her evolution was character evolution, and it was a parallel. All right. So, Kelly, welcome to the Heroes Peak podcast again. How are you doing?
This is awesome, man. Dude, I love what you guys are since the first one. Miss Brooks,
Wow.
pleasure.
Hells, long time no see.
So we're sitting here talking about
So you
Prey,
guys will just
the
end the
Hulu
talk.
movie.
Keep the camera. Camera's good. Don't need to move it around. It's good. Go ahead.
Edit that out, Mike.
So you got a chance to watch this movie, I'm assuming, right? That's why you're here.
Oh wow, did I? I watched it a few times. So like I had to catch a
Nice.
couple of I think for me I had to catch a couple of different, especially in the combat scenes and stuff. So I had to
Mhm.
there's a couple of things that I was actually following that I actually found very similar to like current tactical kind of things as far as you're dealing with like modern warfare and stuff, that they were doing. It was something that I thought myself and James we were talking about where
Mhm.
like not as much as the Marine Corps, which I actually served in, but I know that Army Special Forces actually go through a school and Special Operations Command where they're actually trained by actual Comanche warriors, where they learn how to,
Shout out to Chad,
work
who was here
like
last week on our
work on
podcast.
land and do certain combat tactics, whether it's tracking and things like that and stuff. So I thought that that was like super cool that they actually chose like Comanche warriors and stuff. And the thing
Mhm.
that was very interesting is the fact that people didn't know that the women in the Comanche tribes would get in your ass as well. You know, excuse the language if this is a PG rating and stuff. So,
No, it's
Okay.
rated
So,
R. Rated
all
R.
right. So before you continue, we're gonna
Mhm.
hit the kills and tactics at the end of the pod. It's gonna be our last section. So first, we're just about finished. So I want to get your take on what you thought of the story of Naru's advancement from trying to prove herself to the tribe, the story of the predator first landing in. So, what did you think of the story of this movie? So, the themes, the story, the her advancement from a young girl to a eventual predator, kind of, from prey to predator. What did you think of that part of the movie?
I personally think it might have moved a little fast, but then again, I mean, for if you're talking from a movie perspective where you're trying to, condense everything into a box within a few hours and stuff, it's obvious that she's been tracking her brother, who by the way, that's a different story. He's my fan favorite
Oh
throughout the
yeah,
whole
absolutely.
movie and stuff, right? Him and the dog.
The dog, yes! Finally, another one. My
All
second
right.
favorite is the dog, too.
Yeah,
No
this is
doubt.
only
The
an hour and
dog
a
super
39-minute
smart.
movie. This is a
Hour 39
Dude, I
tight
minutes.
saw
movie.
the dog Daisy, and I'm like, man, you need to earn your keep.
Listen, I went out on a run with my daughter. We went and hung out with my oldest, and I left my wife and my youngest watching that movie. And when I got back, because they could have easily been like, if it was whack, I would have definitely came back and they would have been watching something on the Food Channel and stuff easily.
Right.
But they were definitely into it when I got back, and I got to sit down and watch them finish it and stuff too. So, yeah, like I would think that she has always been training and stuff because the Comanche themselves being a fairly nomadic tribe,
Mhm.
they move with the herd, they move with the seasons and
The
stuff,
bison.
the
My favorite.
bison and stuff. So it's like it's obvious that she's learning certain things, whether there's the warriors that are coming back, and she's asked to be in a certain place, like this is your place, you can't be this warrior, but she's been training like obviously since she was little. She's the
Like,
tomboy in the group.
I told him earlier, it reminded me of Mulan. Same thing. In the beginning of her
Yeah,
life, she was training with the guys. Yeah, but go ahead.
exactly. And
Yep.
it's like, and her brother knows that because one, she's also training to be a medicine woman too, which is premier in any Native American tribe. Like if you're part of that clan of people who medicine, you actually know how to track. You know how to
Mhm.
track. You know how to find different herbs and roots and things like that that actually cure people. So it makes you different than just
Mhm.
regular people who are within the tribe, regular tribesmen and stuff. You're already out there in the wilderness and stuff, you know. So you gotta watch yourself while you're out there anyway, right? So I think it's only a progression. Imagine putting those two together, and this is what you got, you know.
Yeah,
It's a good point.
I love
You
that
got her.
they had her do both, and as we get
Hmm.
into the character discussions of the different characters that we like, Naru being obviously number one here. Um, we had the scene with her mom where her mom's surprised, but she's like, "I'm listening to you, and I took what you've said to heart, and I know what
Hmm.
these things are." And she's out with her brother, and she's listening to her brother and taking what he says to heart. And then she's out on her own and putting these things into practice on her own. So as a
Yep.
character, they don't skimp on telling you, look, this girl knows what she's doing. She is here for a reason. This is not a surprise. She's not sitting in the ground playing in the
Yeah.
dirt.
She
She's
did a
doing
quick
all of this.
evolve. Yeah, that's what made it. I think it was very. I think even though it was quick,
Hmm.
you know, as far as the transition of her going into full warrior mode, I think
Hmm.
that the scenes that they cut, which were proper, definitely showed the transitions that she did learn from her brother. She learned from the other tribesmen, you know, and then she also was able to like package all those other things together and be able to go out there and like really put in work. But she didn't do
Hmm.
it alone though, you know.
Yeah,
She did-
exactly. I love the scene with her inventing the weapon, like upgrading her weapon, and then gives us just 2 minutes, just not even like maybe a minute of her practicing and getting to know this upgrade. She's like, hey, this is cool. I like this. This is a problem I
Mhm.
had, and I fixed it. And it doesn't automatically make her the best hunter because she immediately goes after the deer and loses the deer. But
Plus, she
it,
has to learn how to work that new tool because now
right.
she's created a
Yeah.
new
But
weapon.
I
You
love
know.
that they let the girl, the character evolve
Yep.
and upgrade herself.
Yeah. Chris, I think we all agree with you in that one. Maybe not the Predator, but definitely Naru was a good example of a development of a character from beginning to end.
And the
Yep.
last thing
I
about the
thought so.
character I want to mention, I'm sorry, the makeup. So, and the actress, um, what was it?
Midhunter, forgot her first name.
I want to say
Amber
Amanda,
Midhunter.
Amber. So,
Amber Midhunter.
so
Yep.
when
I'm
they
trying to
start,
remember. She was on another film before that. I'm trying to
She was
remember what
in
I saw her
Legion.
before.
She was in that TV show Legion with
Ah, that's what I remember her on, man.
yeah,
She was awesome in that too, man.
yeah.
but they
Yeah.
start her with this black face paint that comes right across under her eyes, and it makes her eyes just stand out. Which means
Hmm.
every scene she's in the beginning, and almost the entire way through, is she has to the Amber has to act, and she can't. You
Yeah.
cannot get away from this because the entire screen draws down to her eyes, and she did a
Yeah.
wonderful job.
Because she's doe-eyed, so it's like when you have that black paint around, you can't help but zero in on like
Mhm.
her
Doe eyed.
expressions and
I
stuff, you
like that.
know. You know.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Brooksy, what did you think of her acting overall? Like, did she have the proper emotional range? Did you think? What did
Yes.
you think?
Yeah, I mean, James laughed when Kelly said doe-eyed, but it's true. But it helped with her ability to act. Like she was very expressive with her eyes. And Chris, I didn't even think of the fact that like the paint around her eyes kind of made it, us like focus on that more. But it's true because like even there were scenes where it was like darker, and even though she has like darker eyes, they like really stood out. And I
Yeah.
think like she's just like a good, I don't know what they call it, a method actor, maybe that's the wrong term, like where there's like a lot of facial expressions
Just
that,
a facial acting is just generally what they say. Like
facial acting,
when someone
yeah.
can get
Remind me of what's her name from Handmaid's Tale, the lead actress, where
Lizzie.
everything is like 95% her face.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that I think was like very much stood out, and like that even there was like a couple of scenes where the like the guys around her were like, you should have seen your eyes when that happened, or you were so scared. And it was really just like, I think she was like, I think you were obviously scared, right? You're like out in a forest and you can't help but be scared. There's like some unknown thing that's out to get you, that's not like your typical bear or whatever. Um, but I also think it was like there was a lot of emotion, and it wasn't just like fear. It was like being observant. Like I just could see her being like very observant, and like that emotion came across in her face and her eyes. But I think like that was one of the highlights, I think, for me of her in the film.
All right, let's talk about what I think my favorite character. And Amber Midthunder, congratulations, you just like made an iconic character, by the way. So,
Definitely.
Dakota Beavers playing her brother Tabe. Man, this guy, he was awesome. I loved this character. I love how he interacted with his sister. I loved him being that top of the food chain warrior, but the way he treats his sister is very family oriented. In the sense
Yeah,
that
it's his sister.
you had these guys who were just treating her like shit, but he found a way to include her anyway, even though he still doesn't think she's ready either. But he was willing to give her more shots, and that just such a. And he was also a little tough but fair. That moment when he comes up to her after the cougar thing, and she's like, and he nails her with the "You're right, we didn't do it, I did it." Like all of those scenes, and his final action scene, top tier stuff. All right, Kelly, I'm gonna let you go.
That's the part of that. Yeah.
All right,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you go. What did
Go ahead,
you
Kelly.
think of Dakota Beavers and that character, Tabe?
From beginning to end, like you can tell how he looks at his sister like, yo, you're my little sister. I love you. I know you've been a tomboy since you was here, and I want to try to include you, I think, on everything, but there is still that masculine aspect to where he's like, look, I still don't want you to go out there and get hurt. There's bears, there's wolves. They were talking about the different scat that was out there, but at the same time, he also knew as far as her as a healer, as far as her going out there, knowing the medicinal aspects out there in the woods, she's perfect to join them in there because if they get effed up out there, I don't think there's anybody, unless they're going to be able to work their way all the way back home. Anybody who's going to be able to do a field dress, you're looking at your first like corpsman of your first field dressing that's going on. Like she's doing that in the field. She proved that with the dog, right? With the trap, you
Yeah.
know. But I think moving down the line, I thought he just gained just more respect for her, for how she worked out there in the field and stuff. And I mean, as far as his action scene against this guy, I mean, against as far as my opinion, if the Predator didn't have invisibility, he would have got his knot rocked.
Right.
From watching the other Predator movies, I feel like this was probably like not a prepubescent, but like one of the youngling Predators that had to make his mark. Because if you watch the other movies, there's like the super Predators,
Well,
there's like the medium, and then there's
came
like
with trophies already on them. He didn't have any
yeah,
trophies. He
yeah.
was getting his first
So
trophy.
this was like yeah,
So
I did.
but that doesn't diminish what Naru and Tabi was able to do by all means.
Oh, indeed.
Just
I
saying.
think there was some inconsistencies though, because if you remember Predator 2, that 1785 musket gun.
Yes,
So
that's the same gun that's at the end of this movie.
right. So that was thrown. She gave the head and the gun to the tribesman. Like, guess what? Not only did I kill something that's not from here, I actually caught a body on a Frenchman at the same time, a trapper at the same time, and gave it to him.
Body
So
for sure.
so I'm wondering if at some point, because he did leave, right? No, he died, but remember, I think they learn from all of that
They
stuff,
they
and
left that area. They
right.
moved on, knowing that the more white colonials were coming. so they were going to relocate anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, you know what probably happened in history? They got absorbed or whatnot by other French or English, and that weapon was an antique that got throughout the ages, and eventually it made its way in Predator
Yeah,
2.
but they never take something that they didn't take off of prey, right?
Yeah, but we're saying it was
Yeah,
probably humans that took it from them. It was probably
yeah.
colonialists took it from the tribe as a
Okay,
trophy.
so
Because
then when the Predators came back for round two on that one,
probably something to that
which is
effect.
another inconsistency, because then we get back to Alien versus Predator. Apparently, they've been around since ancient Mayans and Aztecs, based on that
I
Arctic
Like
one.
Ice Age. It's
Ice
the
I
Ice
don't
Age,
Age,
think
yeah.
Mass
that one is
Annihilation.
canon. I have a feeling they're dropping the Alien versus Predator stuff from whatever canon. James, talk to me about the dog.
Why I love the dog?
Dingo,
I think
American
the
Dingo.
dog was a character that I didn't expect to really care about that much in the beginning of the movie. I was focusing on Naru, but then I realized and I think this is probably the director and writer, is they gave the dog a role where it was more like a sidekick to
Mm-hmm.
Naru. Obviously, it's a human, or not a human, sorry, it's a living being, living organ, and it's able to have the same pain as she's having. When it gets trapped by the fur, the fur, the
The
French
Trapper, the
fur
Tab.
traders, you can feel the fact that the dog is hurt. When she's getting attacked by the bear, the dog is the one that's the front line trying to defend her until it realizes it has no chance and it
Yep,
runs
he was
around
out of
and it
there.
distracts the bear. It distracts the bear from her as she's still trapped in a little the branch thing and she's trying to figure out a way to. I mean, this dog to me was like, although it's not a real dog. I'm pretty sure most of it was
No, it's a
CGI.
real
No,
dog.
that's a
It is
real
a real
dog.
It's all
dog.
real dog, man.
It's a real
That's
It
a
dog.
real
is.
dog.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! Some of
So
the scenes look like it was
And
impossible for
That's a
and
dingo.
that
it's
That's
dog
a
to do.
dingo breed. There are dogs that are out there like that. That's an American dingo.
and it yeah, it's
Holy
related.
cow!
Those dogs came across from what I read. It came across the ice shelf with them.
Ice bridges. Yep.
Those shit.
Okay, so now that I know that the dog is a real dog, it is not my favorite character
Mhm.
over Naru. Naru gets
wow.
number two because I thought it was a CGI,
Yeah.
mostly CGI with a couple scenes with the dog. But holy cow, yeah! I mean, that to me, it was a nice touch on something that I didn't expect to care about in a movie like this. But there's so many scenes in this movie, and I have to go back and watch it the second time, where the dog was kind of like R2D2, where you don't get like the credits, but so many instances you save Luke and Han and
Yep.
Leia's ass, but nobody really
And
talks
it's
about
Which
it.
subtle how he saves them, right?
is there any other? There wasn't a lot of any other in depth and any other character. It was very
No,
simple.
let's
I
get
will
straight
shout
to
out. I
the
thought the
final one.
mom. She only had like 3 scenes. They were all short, but I thought
They were
she did
prolific
great.
back then.
They did
Yeah.
great with what she had. She had a couple of great
She was
lines,
mom.
some good facial expression. Like
She was
this year,
mom.
we've had some great family interactions on our
Yep.
media.
Even the
Uh,
one where she was
Everywhere,
cleaning the
all at
skin.
once,
Mhm.
and
My favorite.
and
It remains my favorite.
Miss Marvel had a great
Oh, I
family.
hated it.
Like they've had some great family stuff in our media this year. I loved it. All right,
Brooks, you didn't like everything everywhere all at
no,
once?
remember?
No, remember I gave it
Oh,
like a bad grade.
my
Yeah,
bad, my
like
bad.
an
All
F
right,
maybe.
Go ahead.
all right. So
Go
we're
ahead,
on to
Chris.
our next setting, and that's our technical discussion. This won't take very long.
Oh,
Do we need to take a
Jesus.
break? So
I
Mike.
can
Oh,
see
I'm
Mike
sorry.
right now. Yeah, let's take a
We're
break.
taking a break. We'll be back in a minute with the rest of our discussion.
Yeah, pay
We're
our
going to talk
bills.
technical, and then we're going to talk kills.
Nice.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to our Prey review. And so, next up, I just want to do a quick go through of the technical items. And I know James loves to talk about soundtracks and sound effects and stuff like that.
Not these
Was
movies.
there anything
But go ahead.
you didn't find anything?
No, I
You
think
didn't find anything stuck
I'll
out
be
to you?
honest. This movie to me wasn't that. It wasn't a cinematic achievement in either music or cinematography.
Wow.
It wasn't. I think after you see movies like Nope, which none of you guys have seen, and you've seen Everything Everywhere at Once, and then you've seen Um,
I think this has
Bullet
better
Train, which had a
cinematography than
great music.
everything
I
everywhere
agree,
all
I
at
Chris.
once.
don't. I do not. I
Yes,
can't believe you would
way
say that.
better.
Everything, even when you take the
I mean,
special effects
number
out of
one,
everything everywhere at once, just the laundromat scene to me just felt like I was actually transported into that laundromat. Whereas this felt like, not that I was on a sound stage. You know what? Okay, Last of the Mohicans.
you weren't in a set. You
I
were
know.
literally in Alberta,
Like,
Canada.
Last of the
Yeah.
Mohicans to me, which was 20 years ago,
It was
looked
like
much
8 years
better
ago, by the way.
Oh,
cinematography
that
No
was fine. But
way.
than
uh,
this movie.
yeah, I will say, yeah, last that was a great
Like,
well,
I
they did
mean,
a
not
lot
just
of outdoor.
I don't get into the movie and the plot and the music, which is all better than this, but just the cinematography, the woods, the forest. Like, there's a scene where in this movie where it's all like gray and ash, and it's a little bit confusing, and like you really have to focus on what's happening. That reminded me how
That's
Game
on
of
purpose.
Thrones was that the long night where you could barely see what's happening in Game of Thrones, and they try to say, "Well, it's just your TV set." No, so I'm not gonna just make it quick.
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
see much achievement in cinematography and music for this movie. I leave it to the rest
All
of you
right.
guys to
I
count
All
on.
just
right,
would like
all
to
right.
have like a little correction here. The Last of the Mohicans was made in 1992, and as much as our old asses would love to believe that it was 20 years ago, it was not.
It was longer. It was much longer.
All right,
I
Yep.
watched it in college.
all right,
92, you were
all
in
right.
college in
So,
92.
No, but I watched the movie in '94, freshman year.
Okay.
The Souk.
Fact
so
checker over here.
I would say, number one, the sound of the Predator is such a unique sound, and it is
That
a
tick
great
sound.
It's the same
through
sound in
line.
every one of those movies.
It doesn't matter
Yeah,
that it's the
Billy.
same
Same
sound. It
language.
is a unique and wonderful, like, creepy sound. And
That
I'm
tick
not saying
sound.
it's
That
this movie made it that. I'm saying sound design wise, as a through line, that is such an interesting individual piece of audio that I
hmm
and they did a
Tell
great
me
use of
this
it.
movie.
And
Tell me something specific to this movie that made you go, "Wow, what a cinematic or music score achievement." Tell me.
the the use of the wide shots in this are wonderful. They're well timed and very well used. So let's think of the scene. She's being chased by the predator. The tribes people were just killed. She's running for her life. So she runs out into the hot tall grasses and suddenly she gets yanked down to the grass. So now we have this beautiful scene of just the tall grass. And then you see just the eyes of the one guy, and he's tracking, trying to find the predator. And then you have the opposite scene. You have the predator's view, and he's out, and then he uses his track his heat sense, whatever the
yeah.
fuck that's called.
Well,
So
he
that
had his
whole
mask,
Yeah. We
right.
know what you're talking about. Go
So
ahead.
which I
okay,
hope we're going to talk about. Yeah.
So he takes the shot. She knocks the guys down. She, oh, he's got us, and they run. Now the camera pans out to this beautiful, lush, yellow, tall grass, and they're both running and making this awesome stream. And then all of a sudden, the predator, invisible, so it's just the grass starts to stream down behind them, and then he gets caught, and the blood splatters, and you got this beautiful wide shot of her running in fear, beautiful landscape, and the red blood just splatters the entire landscape. And then it it's just a great use of going tight on her in fear, running, the shit's behind her, going down, and then you go wide and you see it chasing, or you see its stream chasing, and then the blood splatter just explodes. Beautiful shot. That's one. Number two, the
I
whole
mean,
entire
you,
bear
you
scene.
can go ahead and wave the flag. You believe it's a beautiful shot. I think that's a very mediocre shot. You know what? When you're describing to me, hold
Mediocre
on.
shot.
Do you remember the
You're
movie
describing.
with where you couldn't make a noise because the aliens would come and kill you? And it had a sequel recently.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot the actress
Mm-hmm.
who might be playing Sue Storm. Whatever. That sequel
Sandra
movie. No, not
Bullock?
Sandra Bullock.
No, not the Sandra Bullock movie.
The guy, her husband played Fantastic Four, and and Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I
But you know
know.
what I'm talking about. That sequel movie, there was a similar shot where they were in a long field and they had to run. Her and her child had to run, and you waited. And the combination of the scenery and the noise to me was a much better shot than what you're trying to describe. Chris, I think you're really digging deep to try to prove that you
I am
put
not digging deep.
cinematography in
It's a
this
beautiful
movie.
shot.
It is a mediocre shot that you feels elevated because of the tension of the scene. I get it, but you can't tell me
They're
the
both
camera
together
work.
work wonderful, and it's a.
The camera work here is not stellar. It is not. It is basic, which is fine for this movie. It
It is
is
not
not.
basic. You're just being hater. That's all.
Oh, and the
You're
argument
you're
is
you're
over. The
looking for
argument is over.
reasons
All
to make
right,
it.
the argument is over. Go ahead, Kelly. Let me hear what you think.
Wait, I
Or
will say
Brooks.
this.
No,
Or
no, no,
Brooks.
I feel
Queen,
Oh,
like
Queen, chime in.
I feel like if it was in a theater, you could see it better. Like you could see what Chris is describing better. But because we were watching it on our TVs, like it didn't come across as much.
I don't know. I have a 4K TV. It was a beaut. It was it the movie. All
Uh-oh.
of all the
Tech,
greens, all the
tech
beautiful
snob.
wide shots of the mountains, all of the close-up shots of the eyes. The makeup was great.
I have no
The
idea what
predator
TV I have.
moving things.
I'd have to ask my boyfriend.
dude, I watched Terminal List, and it was much better cinematography than this
Terminal
stuff.
List was 100% gray
Yeah,
all of
I
the
disagree.
time.
And it
Do not
and it
tell
was
me Terminal
and
List was better looking.
it was that forest
100%
that
gray.
forest scene was better.
100% gray.
That forest scene was better with the lush greens and the gray mountains. That whatever you want to
You're
call them.
gonna tell me that Terminal List looked better than this, and I
I'm gonna
know
say
you're not
I'm gonna say
kidding.
they're in the same level. Yes, they
No!
are.
Oh my god!
This movie had.
Oh
I
my
just told you
god!
an example where the movie was gray and you could even make heads or tails what was happening, dude.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? That entire scene is great because the alien's green blood is all over the place. The bright yellow fire that she had made is casting light and shadows within the forest. So that's what that gray stuff coming down is because of the fire ash. And she's up in the tree hunting. So now that's the moment she becomes the hunter, and the prey, the predator, is sitting on the ground, now
Who's now the
completely
prey?
exposed, not knowing what's going on, lost. That is a beautiful scene, and I could see every single character, every tree in that scene. I don't know what's wrong with your TV, but I think you have some settings.
Oh my god. All right, let me hear someone else. Brooks, I heard your point. Nothing stood out to you. Maybe if we were in IMAX theater, we would just think that. Let me hear Kelly.
Nah, Brooks had a couple of more. I could tell. She had some more commentary.
I know, but she's not gonna say. Kelly, let's hear. Just hear you.
All right, I thought that there were some scenes that were a little rudimentary, but at the same time,
What?
but there were scenes. The scenes that he's calling out, I thought were beautiful. The shots that were the amber, like when you talk about the amber waves of grain, them hiding in there, them sitting in there, you could see the patch. But when you did the angle from where the alien was actually looking out and couldn't find him until he popped his head up, I thought that was great cinematography. I'm looking at it from a perspective of somebody who's hunted and like track. So I'm seeing it from a level like, okay, I'm the predator at this point, and I just thought it was beautiful when she was running through there, and then she was just snatched down by,
Mm-hmm.
her, by the other member of the tribe and whatnot. Man, I thought that that was beautifully shot. I thought that that commentary that they had within that, what was be that one small safe zone for a hot minute, was
Mm-hmm.
beautifully shot, well said. The fact that it was done in close with the closed caption on it, them was speaking, and I like the fact that they were actually utilizing Comanche dialect along with English at the same time and stuff. I thought was pretty
Mm-hmm.
fucking cool. Pretty, oops, sorry,
You can
pretty
pass it.
You
freaking
can
cool.
swear. It's okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I thought it was pretty freaking cool and whatnot, right? But then when he popped his head up, then when you saw with the use of the helmet, he was able to zone in on that heat signature.
Chris, you, not everyone else, you're giving me multiple
I see.
shots of what you believe is great. I'm telling you, I don't believe most of those are great, except for the combat scene to me, which was pretty great, and then the silhouette of with the torch in the beginning of the movie, where you felt the dread and your tension. Beyond that, it's a basic movie. Let's not just start throwing flowers at basic cinematography. That is not a basic movie. Let's
I'm
not
sorry.
throwing
There was a
flowers
shot
at
with
it.
the predator holding the bear above its head as the
The
blood
CGI bear,
pours down.
the terrible
And
CGI bear. Which the
do not give me terrible CGI. I just
dude?
watched RRR, and
Oh, now we're
that bear
comparing.
was
I
fine.
might as well compare Fast and Furious then. But that's not the point.
It probably has the
You
same
love
budget.
The
Fast and
point
Furious.
is that scene looked terrible because the bear was so CGI. The blood didn't look
It
real.
was not that bad.
It
Oh
did
my
look
god,
real.
it was
The
not
bear and
that
the
bad.
Revenant look more realistic than this bear.
The bear and the Reverend was not any
Yes,
better.
it
Stop.
was. Anyway, we
Oh
digress.
my
We're gonna be
god.
here for another 15 minutes. Let's just.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you're tired. You would argue more if you weren't tired. All right, let's move on then. We're gonna do our last section, which is our most important section because it is a Predator movie, and that is our kill section.
All right.
All right, so we'll go through. The list is actually relatively short. Most of them won't bear talking about. So our first kill is the cougar kill, and that I think cool seeing her try to set up, lose to the cougar, and then the brother coming in with the cougar head. I think it's a cool setup in the whole movie, but overall, it's not what we're here to talk about. Then we got the snake, the wolf. Do you guys anybody care to talk about the wolf scene?
No.
Cool little scene.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
The bear. I already mentioned it. I thought the bear scene was great. The bear chasing her, the whole chase scene, and then the hand-to-hand fight with the bear.
I agree.
I love it. All right. This is where we're gonna get to. The first predator kills of people, and that's the hunting party. So they came to grab her, bring her back to the tribe. They're annoyed that she's out. They beat her up. Well, actually, she beats up the one guy, but then she gets punched in the face, tied up. All right. So now the predator comes in, and he sees her as prey, which means not worried about her. But the other guys, they got weapons. All right. What did you think of this? He's got. So you start with the arrow. The guy, he's got like these little magnetic arrows.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's new. I don't think I've seen that in any of the previous Predator movies.
Well, most of them have like a laser, like a shoulder laser cannon.
Yeah.
This guy was a little bit more primitive and went with hard bolts or arrows on like a little magnetic thing. And then you get the staff, a cool staff fight. So pretty basic, but a pretty cool scene. I thought the Comanche warriors did some cool stuff. They got some licks in. They got an arrow shot. Guy stabbed him in the foot. That was good. What did you guys think of the first Comanche predator fight scene? Kelly, go ahead.
Awesome. Awesome. They work as a unit. They worked as a unit. They knew they had a big target, just like they do anything. If you go back to the beginning of man, when you take down a woolly mammoth, it isn't one person that's doing that, right? It's not in a lion pride. It's not one lion. It's one lion that may make the final kill, but they're all working in unison to like take down a big prey. And I think they worked excellent with that. And every time they struck him, they made him weaker to set to set it up for her to make that final kill. You know, and I thought that was beautiful. And it goes back to like I said, her brother, man, dude, that kid was masterful. He was putting
Right.
in work.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He
He
was
was
good.
putting in work. Put everyone in there, and deep down,
He was.
and I guarantee you, that predator,
Gian
if he
escaped
thought,
6.
Right.
yeah, yeah, I'm telling you, yo, that if he wasn't putting in the work he was putting in on that predator,
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't have went invisible. Because
Right.
remember, he thought that just he can intimidate him just by his presence, and he
Yep.
was like, okay, bigger they are, the harder they fall, and he was definitely chopping them down to size,
All right. James,
and
what
that
did
was
you
fun.
think?
That was fun to watch.
Yeah. James, what did you think of that first Comanche Warrior versus Predator fight?
I thought it's not my favorite fight of the movie, but it definitely is up there. It's pretty good. I think all the fight scenes in this movie are pretty good. I think that's probably my number two. I thought it was pretty good. Kelly hits, he hits all my points too.
Right. All right.
Oh, can we include the bear in on that softening them up too?
Yeah,
The bear seems
yeah.
great.
That bear,
That
that
bear
bear was a
got
little
him.
premature. I thought that bear had him. That bear could have put in work if he could see him. You know, that bear would have definitely finished him off.
And that's why I love this Predator. He is going in fisticuffs. He is not starting from a distance. He is going in and he wants to get
Close
his hands
quarters.
dirty. That's right. All right. The next one, which is the longest fight, which is the French trappers. So the French trappers think they're getting the jump on him. They get they get him in the bear trap. They get him knocked down, and then he does this like Undertaker move where he just like pops up and is like starts clearing house. Like he's like, okay guys, look, there's a lot of you. There's only one of me. I'm going full.
I'm going.
He's got the Wonder Woman shield. He's got the bombs. He's
Dude
doing
went
everything.
in. Yo, he took the skull, I think, of one of them and used it as a weapon against another. This is my favorite fight. This is not only my favorite fight, my favorite moment in the movie.
Think about that one.
Yes, that is my favorite
Definitely
fight.
pulled that out, swung the spine with the head on it.
Dude,
Cracked the nose.
this is what I wanted to see in the Predator movie, and I was like,
That was
I was clapping at the end of that.
Next we have the Tape fight. This is probably one of my favorite. Dude, he came out on that horse with the spear and like full on like I swear he was like 10 feet in the air. Comes down through the shoulder.
Very
Great
anime
first-
style. That's why you like it.
That's right. Oh, I love that. Great first blow. And then fires the arrow, comes in low, pulls the arrow back out of him, hits him again.
Yep.
Dude, he was kicking his ass. That was great. I love that. Tape, best character, best fight.
You know what? This is the part of the movie where I started thinking maybe this particular Predator is like, up and coming, first rank, first strike type of warrior. He's got to prove himself, and he's clearly not ready for this type of that smoke. He's like, oh shit, these humans are bringing the real smoke here.
Yeah, I don't think he was ready for
Well,
that.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
but is this based off of like they're kind of like saying the way that they set the movie up was like, okay, this was their first visit on Earth, so technically he didn't know what he was going to get into, which is why he kind of started moving up the ranks as far as what he
The
saw as
snake,
Predator, right?
and yeah, gotcha. Good point. Good
The
point.
snake to so I mean, yeah, he's like, okay, these bipeds, they're kind of badass, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He made quick work of the
Got a
French
little bit of
guys,
technology.
but
Yeah.
but Tabe was a different type of.
That kind of takes it all the way
Smoke,
back to
yeah.
Chris's point in the beginning, though, where he said like that.
He's evolving.
Yeah, Predator was evolving. So I think maybe full circle,
Yeah.
we might have just proved Chris's
That's not evolving. The Predator's just adapting to his enemies.
hater.
That's not evolving because technically Tabe could have
What
killed
evolving
him.
is.
No, Tabe could have killed him. Tabe could have killed
If
him.
he
But-
didn't have
but-
if he didn't have invisibility,
But
probably
Tabe
would have got it.
Tabe was winning in the hand-to-hand, face-to-face fight. But Tabe was not prepared for
You could even say the bear could have killed him if he wasn't wasting his time chasing Naru and the dog.
But Tabe was not
Yep.
prepared for all of the Predator's weapons. So the difference when we talk next about the Naru fight is Naru has been watching this whole time and learning and adjusting.
That's evolving. That's the difference
And-
between evolving and adapting. What he just said right there, Chris.
So she takes into account
Learning, not reacting.
all of the Predator's
Yes.
tendencies, all of the things she's seen people do, all of the failure, and she turns that into a win. All right, the Naru fight. I love this because of the scene leading up to the Naru fight where you have the Frenchman and she sets the trap. She puts the Frenchman on. She sets the gigantic fire, so the heat source. So when the thing sees the heat, it sees the heavy heat, it sees his heat, and then she's taken the thing to basically become the invisible predator. And she just stands there. And the quote, "You don't know I'm killing you right now." I was like, damn, that's good. And she's putting
That
on
was
the
hard.
makeup.
That was tough.
And then just
I
the whole.
like that little sidestep she did too when she saw him too, right? When he's going in for the French dude,
Yeah. And
and it's
She
just
just
like,
like moved her
someone pointed.
Yeah.
Sorry. Someone pointed out in another podcast, I'm sorry, I don't remember which one, that in the fight against the cougar, the only reason she loses is she gets distracted by the noise. But in this fight, she never turns around at the noises. She's always looking ahead. She's always moving forward. She's not letting herself be distracted. And I thought that was a great little cool beginning to end upgrade for her. All right, the last I'll let all of you give a grade and tell me if you can, does this rank in the top 2, 3 of your Predator viewing? The bottom,
Two,
middle,
three.
whatever.
I know definitely my number one.
All right, so I'm gonna go around the horn. Brooks, what's your grade?
We lost Kells.
Hopefully he'll come back.
Okay, great. So my grade, I'm gonna go. Now I'm nervous. I was gonna say B plus. B plus. I'm gonna say B plus.
That's a good grade.
Yeah, I don't know where it ranks because I certainly haven't seen all 7 or more Predator.
So it ranks number 1.
Number 1. Yes, this is number 1. Correct. That's the answer.
All right, James, what's your grade and where does it rank if you can?
I had a grade in my head before going to the pod, but after hearing all of Chris's Hosanna in the highest about the cinematography, it dipped below my original grade from a B to a B minus. I'm now giving it a B minus of the B that I came in with.
Ah, interesting. This will be the farthest apart we've been in a grade in a while.
Oh.
What are you giving it, Chris?
And so what? I'm just gonna ask. Does this rank really low in your Predator watching?
No, it doesn't rank really low. It ranks probably in the middle tier of Predator movies. Upper middle tier. Upper middle tier.
For me, I'm grading it a full A. I love this movie. It is number 3 for me of the entire year. I love this movie a lot.
Are you sober right now?
And I have not watched Predator in a long time. I'm going to put this at number 2.
Dear
for
Lord.
now. Until I rewatch. Because I watched Predators. I told you I started watching Predators.
That's the bottom.
It's
That's the
fun,
bottom one. Yeah.
it's a fun action, basic action movie, but it has like almost no interesting story or characters to it. I watched The Predator, the recent one, and I thought it was fun, not living up to anything. I've watched Predator 2, the Danny Glover one. Yeah, no, that's definitely not the league of this. Those are all.
So you never watched Alien versus Predator?
I have never watched Alien versus Predator. Yeah, you should do that.
And then get back to me.
I will get on to the Predator bandwagon. I do remember though Predator being just an amazing action movie. It is a classic.
Yeah, that's number 1.
It's hard to top it. It's hard to top it just because of what it is.
The characters. Here you have one great character. In that movie, you had an ensemble cast.
You had an ensemble cast, but you really had 2.5 characters. Everybody else is a very staid character, just like a shell of a character, which is fine because of what it is. They're mincemeat. You know, Jesse Ventura is fun to watch, but you can't tell me he has more than a basic shell of a character. You're not getting in depth of anything.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, but perfect timing, Kels.
But it doesn't mean it's bad.
Yes.
But yeah, okay. So what's your grade for this movie, and where does it land in the annals of Predator movies?
B minus.
Ooh, same grade with me after all that.
I don't know. I don't know if I
That's
heard
right.
that. Only because after I so truly enjoyed the first one because one, it was next level, never seen before, and then two was just
Hmm.
so gully in Los Angeles, and they were doing a lot of guerrilla filmmaking on that, and that was just crazy. Um,
Hmm.
and then I'm also a fan of all the ones like Predators, which is I don't know if you guys ever spoke on that one, the one where they was off world, you
Chris
know?
spoke about it. He didn't like it that
Hmm.
much. I put it in the
Yeah.
middle to
No,
lower,
no, no.
lower.
I think it's cool, but it's so extremely basic. There's no depth to it
It's not as good as
whatsoever.
this
It's
one. I
it's the
agree. It's not as good as
shallowest.
this
Which
It's literally the shallowest of action movies, which is
only
fine.
reason
one.
That's
Kels,
a
the
did
fine
you
only
movie.
see
reason why I
Alien
dug
versus
it because
Predator?
it was come on now. But really? Are we
Okay.
doing this?
Making sure. Hey, Chris didn't see it, so I'm asking. Chris
No.
didn't see it.
I
I've
haven't
seen
seen it.
all of the versions of where the alien basically fights a predator and stuff. So yeah.
So why don't we finish up here? I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you, Kelly, for joining us. And everybody, you can find us on the internet. You can subscribe here, iTunes, YouTube. Uh, Contact us on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us where Prey ranks upon the Predators. And also, what's your favorite Predator helmet? I love the bone helmet. I think that's a really cool looking helmet. Some people like the more full face mask.
That
But
bone
thank you
won't
everybody
But
for
stop.
hold
joining
on. But
me.
if you also disagree with Chris's hot takes about the cinematography, please let him know. Troll him about this. Please
It's an A. It's an A.
get the Twitter trolls
Even though
out,
I gave
please.
Full
Wow.
A.
even though I gave it a B minus, I will go watch it again. I'm trying to find some more intricacies in it. I'm pretty sure I
Right.
can find
I'll
some
watch
good
the third act
filmmaking
again.
in it.
I will definitely watch the third act again. I agree with you. Not the whole
Watch the
For
movie.
whole
somebody
thing.
who ranks a movie a B minus, you're watching it a lot. A B minus to me means like I'm likely not gonna watch it again.
What?
Maybe I'll give it a B then. I'll give it a B.
No, don't change your grade now.
I guess it.
All right.
No, I think
That's
with
her
the
metric,
grades,
not yours. Sorry, Chris.
rewatchability is an interesting metric, because it sort of like it does that factor into your grade? Because for me, it's
It does.
mostly um, quality, but also my entertainment level
Yeah.
will bring up or down a grade.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Like whether or not this cinematography and acting is a or A minus or B plus, my entertainment value brings it up to a full A. That's also why Top Gun is an A, because it is just like there's a certain nostalgia factor on top of how good it is that brings that grade up higher. Blah 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 blah. But
Just like
all right.
Fast and the Furious. That's why they're all A's.
Right, entertainment factor. Absolutely. It's a very valid point to our movie.
That
watch.
franchise should have been dead and buried
All right.
after the fifth movie, which was the last good one. But anyway,
Hey, you could have said the same thing about Predator, but now we're on their seventh movie, and this is one of the best ones.
okay. We'll see how the next Fast and Furious movie goes.
Wait. Hey, thank you. Hey, I
All right,
want to
everybody.
thank you guys.
Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you guys for having me on, man. This was fun, man. I appreciate you all. All right. Simple
Thank you,
five.
Kels. You're welcome anytime, man. You're
Thanks,
welcome
Kelly.
anytime.
That's all right. See you all later. See you next week.
All right.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.